maybe those three different ideas, right? The size of the market, the potential for the product, and the caliber of the entrepreneur. How do you balance those things? What's most important when you're looking at a deal?
Tough question. Let me think about it a little bit. I mean, firstly, Mustafa, I really agree with everything he said. So he was quite thorough, but it does take a lot to first grow and then run.
That's why I started with
business,
him.
Right? That's also very important. You want the kind of person that is going to take care of that. In terms of those three things, I think it's also a lot dependent on the entrepreneur. Because what you find is that if the market might be big, but if the entrepreneur doesn't quite understand how to serve it, then it gets unserved. And you have a lot of examples of companies that have approached the markets and then they provided a solution and they pushed it, but it wasn't the right solution and it didn't work. I mean, a great example from the States is Google. Search engines existed before Google. They were used before Google, but with Google, search became a huge component of the internet, and no company before and after has approached Google because it delivered the right product for the right market with an amazing team. So it's kind of the combination of the three. I think it's hard to say one or the other, and I think they really have to complement each other. And I think there can be some instances where the market is relatively small. But the product is so amazing, the entrepreneur is still so amazing that they can create a great company out of it. I think the Turkish example is Yemek Sepeti. Certainly, if you look at many other countries, this is not such a big market. Whereas in Turkey, they came in very, very early and they built a great platform and grabbed a very, very large market share. And as a result, you have a huge, amazing company. So it's a kind of a complicated combination. I'm sorry, it's not a direct answer to the question, but I'll try to think of some other examples that might add a bit more color.
Sure. Anything else to add on that point, guys? Okay, Miles, go ahead.
So obviously it's hard coming third or fourth because a lot of these things have already been spoken about, but I would absolutely agree that when we talk about the entrepreneur, you want someone who's very passionate about what they're doing, that really believes in it, that's very driven. At the same time, when we sort of talked about the self-awareness, they need to be able to understand realistically, is this something that can be done, and keep that flexibility. So as they get more information, because really at the start, they're going to have very limited information, they have a vision on where they want to go. There needs to be a whole lot of flexibility. You really need to be able to see, well, what progress am I making, what's working, what's not, and be able to maneuver. And at the same time, one of the things I really look for is kind of a crispness of vision and thinking. There are some entrepreneurs that I talk to, and you start talking to them, and they can talk for sort of an hour and a half and sort of ramble on. And you've got other guys who are just very, very crisp, and this is really the key thing I need to work out. The rest of it is kind of details. But if I can just get this one thing worked out and get this information, then I know that I can sort of take it to the next level. And I think that crispness and clearness of vision, especially when you've got limited resources, is absolutely critical. And the guys who sort of spread themselves too thin are very sort of harried, very, they wear themselves out, but they don't necessarily make a whole lot of traction. And it's those guys who really understand, okay, this is what I really need to understand, this is where I need to go. Those are the guys that do well. And I would also add to that, I think that you need different folks at different times of the organization as well. You can have a few folks who are absolutely amazing at sort of that very early stage in that idea and kind of working from a raw idea into sort of more of a product and just getting started and managing a few folks. And then when you start looking at an organization that's 150, 200 people, that may well be a very different person. And having people who kind of recognize, well, what stage are they at, and and some folks can take it all the way through, but also recognizing, what, I've taken it from here to here, and maybe now I need to either, help enhance the team to take over some of it, or maybe bring someone else in, and I'll step aside into a smaller role. So I think there are many, many different facets, but I think really this kind of clearness of vision, this passion, and the flexibility, in my mind, are some of the top things that I look for.